We're in the process. There's Kurt. All right. Hello. Can you hear us okay?
I've got you. Good morning.
All right. Thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Before we get started, maybe just give us some thoughts on Darlington in general. What makes Darlington such a challenging track from the driver's seat?
The challenge lies within the layout and the asphalt at that track, the original super speedway of NASCAR and how it was built so early on, and it's still part of our schedule, and the unique design of the track and how turns 3 and 4 are much smaller than turns 1 and 2. The setup is a compromise all race long, and so it's one of those fun tracks where the closer you run to the wall, the more grip that you gain and the more speed that you carry. And then it's the old cliche of race the racetrack. And we have to do that because it's so difficult and the tire wear is so high. So a lot of things that drivers have to juggle at that race.
All right. And we're now going to go to questions. Friendly reminder, if you have a question, raise your hand within the Zoom platform or send us a chat. And to kick us off, we're going to go to Pete Acabelli. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Kurt. Because we're at Darlington, I've got to ask, do people still ask you about that race with Craven way back when, 18 years ago? Do you hear about that all the time? And what memories do you have about now that we're coming to Darlington twice a year again?
Yeah, I get hit up every spring. The awesome footage starts rolling out, the throwback race, and then Fox Sports replayed that race a couple of days ago. And yes, it's fun to tell the story and relive it. I feel like I've told this story 2,000 times and I've finished 2,000ths of a second behind Craven. So I'm going to win this thing one day. I'm going to win it as I tell the story one day. But it's just one of those races where I remember it so vividly. And it was an incredible battle between two guys that never crossed the line to flat out dump the other guy. But we did everything and threw the kitchen sink at each other and created one of the best finishes ever in NASCAR.
Okay, our next question will come from Bob Pockris. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Kurt, with the Nextgen unveiled today, I'm curious, do you have any sense of what teams will be able to adjust on? Like, if you're having an issue, where are you going to be able to work on this car to get faster?
Yeah, it's an exciting day for NASCAR and for the next gen in the era of the direction of where we're going in this sport. And with this car's design, it's simple things, but yet it's new innovation and the technology that's been poured into it. Hopefully it will still balance out like an old race car feel with tire wear, management of the aerodynamics on the balance and the shifts. And as far as adjustments, right now that box has been really tight, and I say tight, it's just we haven't explored a lot because we've been just trying to get through the research and development stages and understand what the big needle movers are as far as changing an aero balance, the handling balance, and then they've taken the car to all the variety of racetracks. And so now it's a matter of everybody jumping into what are going to be part of the rules and what can we change as far as hackers on race day, as far as the shocks, track bar. Will there be a driver adjustable track bar? Where the brake biases, can you move it left and right, forward and back? The sequential gearbox, that's an exciting feel to drive. There won't be much to change there, but can we change our gear ratios when we're at track? So lots of things that still have to be discussed and explored. And you want as many options, in my mind, for the teams to still go through and try to fine tune it to the track and to that driver's needs and wants. That way it still gets tailored around and you have, good cars and bad cars.
Thank you.
Okay, our next question is going to come from Dustin Long. Go ahead, Dustin.
Thank you. Hey, Kurt, I want to ask you, what do you attribute the way this season has gone for the series in the sense of 10 different winners in the first 11 races? From a competitor's point of view, why are we seeing this diversity of winners compared to other years?
It's pretty wild. I'd love to have that one magic quote or button to press and say, this is why. But a lot of things add up to the the competition right now, the parity that everybody has, whether it's a manufacturer, whether it's the teams against another team with the same manufacturer, and then just the way that it's like the tire sequences and the pitting. If you stay out, it's a 50-50 call. If you pit, it's a 50-50 call on if you're going to be able to get back to the lead or get back to that position you were running. It's crazy, like the sequences of the yellows and how they just seem to match up with, oh, really? It's the yellow just came out and we got 20 laps on our tires, and 20 is that 50-50 call on staying out or not. So you roll with it. And then the variety of tracks that we've been on so far have been a large variety. And now we get into some of these summer months where we see some of the Michigans and Poconos and the faster tracks. So the aero will come back to be more important. And then we get into the road course season, and we'll see what we see for trends there, because Chase Elliott, Christopher Bell, I mean, he was lights out at the Daytona road course. There's certain guys that, and I hope that we're one of them, where we're able to capitalize on one of the road courses.
I also want to ask you about the next gen car with your experience in it. When we see changes in cars, or certainly big changes in the sport, sometimes it can favor a type of driver over another until everybody kind of gets adjusted. What are the challenges going to be from the driver and the adjustments needed, and what type of person might it favor early on next year?
The next gen car has quite a bit of difference to it, with independent rear suspension, sequential gearbox, much bigger brakes. The car, when I drove it at the Roval, was much more agile with its acceleration, deceleration, and primarily its maneuverability to switch back left to right. And the car was an impressive, easy 2 seconds quicker on the Roval circuit. Then out on the oval, the car had a weird feel with the independent rear suspension on corner entry and then corner exit with the aerodynamics that we were still balancing out. And so I think the key thing for any driver to be successful, no matter where you are and what you're doing, you have to adapt. And the adaptability of a driver and his openness and his willingness to challenge himself or herself is to find things that work for them and the team and make sure they're confident in those directions and go that way. I mean, just a simple pit sequence. We're going to be second gear coming down pit road, and you have to go through first, then get to neutral. Yes, you can push the clutch in, but you got to keep track of what gear you're in. And that reminds me a lot of when I was running Indianapolis at the Indy 500 with those sequential style gearboxes. So lots of new things, old trends, you got to throw away some of them, but then hopefully my years of experience will balance out into finding that edge.
Thank you.
Okay, our next question will come from Kelly Crandall. Go ahead, Kelly.
Thanks, Amanda. Hey, Kurt, I have two for you real quick. First off, talking about performance this season, 17th in points with 2 top 10s. Is there any panic at all of where your team is right now, or are you seeing something maybe we don't from the outside looking in?
We're doing really good at running 11th at the end of the stages. And then we haven't quite found the balance in traffic this year. Our car, we've made a step in the wrong direction, in my mind, on maneuverability, being able to put fresh tires on and to go for it. Right now, our car seems to take 10 laps to get the tires situated and heated up. And so at Kansas, I think we were 11th in the first stage, 12th in the second stage, finished the race 15th. We're just not getting the job done. That's flat out. And we're not, ignoring that fact. At the end of Kansas, Harvick was back there after a pit road penalty with us because we were one of the last cars on the lead lap, and he knifed his way through there to get to second. And our car just could not give me the confidence to make moves and to make bold carving decisions through the corner. And I just had to kind of nurse it home. And we needed those points. And we needed those points because we just been in a snowball of, we had a bad finish at Atlanta. Then we start 30th at the next week due to the qualifying matrix. Well, when you do that, now you're in the back. Plus you get a bad pit selection. Now guys are blocking you on pit road all day. So it's been a battle, and we're just laughing at the whole matrix of the qualifying and starting position. So I'm really excited for COTA and for the Coke 600, where we get our own qualifying sessions.
And I also wanted to ask something on Nextgen. Just what do you know about the safety aspects of this car, and if it has been safety tested, and anything that you've heard in that regard?
Yeah, I mean, the car has all of the technology that we've poured into our current car plus some. And with all of the sled testing I've seen, the data, the rigidness in the car, all of that has improved. And yet, how many ways can you really crash a car to collect all of the data? Because we can crash cars in all different directions right now, and you're still not going to get all the data points. So the car to me looks more rigid, and it's a car that has these crash absorbing materials and these systems in the front and in the rear that you just basically take off and bolt back on new ones after a wreck. And so you save a lot of the car after a wreck, similar to a bulkhead system in IndyCar. So we'll see how it plays out. I still think there's more sled testing that they're going to do, and we'll continue to learn more. It's still only May 1st, and there's things that we can do to the current application to adjust it heading into Daytona next year.
Thanks, Kurt.
Okay, our next question will come from Lee Spencer. Go ahead, Lee.
Thank you. Just to kind of follow up on Kelly's question, wherever you've gone, you've made that team better, and the crew's got the utmost respect for you. Do you have a lot of confidence in the one car right now in the team and what they're able to give you on a weekly basis so you can contend and win races?
Yeah, I do. I have confidence in every single one of the guys. All of our tools, our application might need to be adjusted at this point. I mean, it's the same rules package as last year. It's the same tire, but we're having all different kinds of movement in the car, primarily in the front. And it changes dramatically from low air to high air for us this year. But, you know, it's like I got a text this time of year from Eric Amarola over at Stewart Haas. And it was a buddy, an old teammate. And he was just flat out asking for advice on things. And then it was like he just went on this top 10 run for the next few months. And I'm like, hey, bro, why you got to be beating me with all that advice? So I've got to find that same thing, that it's 2021 and there's just different trends. And so we have to really look at ourselves in the mirror and challenge ourselves to get out of this rut that we're in and put ourselves in a better playoff position and to make a run through the playoffs later. So lots of cool tracks coming up. Some are in the playoffs, some aren't. The road courses are going to be fun this summer. So no real reason to have a huge panic, but we can't have any more like blow up races, so to speak. We can't get caught up in any wrecks of our doing.
Appreciate your time and nice job on the mariachi band.
That was a good surprise, wasn't it?
All right, our next question will go to Woody Kane. Go ahead, Woody.
Hey, Kurt, appreciate your time. The mariachi thing was great, by the way. Speaking of other upcoming tracks, look ahead to Dover for me, if you will. It's been described by you guys as a roller coaster, a giant Bristol. What are the sensations like from the seat challenging that track? What does it feel like to you?
You know, I talked with Jimmy Johnson over the years, and I said, man, Dover is like the fastest place to me. Like everything just goes by corner entry, you jump down into the banking, corner exit, like boom, zoom, the wall goes by, and you're just, the engine just seems like it's revving higher. And he goes, man, it doesn't feel like that for me at all. It feels slow. And I go, what track do you think is fast? He goes, Bristol. Bristol to me is going crazy fast in my mind. And so I know Johnson's won at Bristol. He might have 2 wins. I've got 1 win at Dover, but it's like both of us champions. He's 7-time, but it's like one guy can absorb a track way different than another guy and have success. And so Dover's just super fast for me, and the engine's revving. And then I got to make sure I don't overwear the front tires and build up that front tire pressure. It's real easy to do that at the concrete tracks.
Thank you.
Okay, our next question will come from Marty. Go ahead, Marty.
Thanks, Amanda. Kurt, thanks for the time, man. Going back to Darlington, this is the first race with in a while with the 750 horsepower low downforce package at Darlington. Just wondering how much that is going to increase the racing and the scale that these drivers will have to deal with.
Yeah, that's a big change. It's bold. I like it. Of course, anytime you give a race car driver horsepower, they'll take it. And then it's supposed to be 90 degrees. It's going to be hot. Track's going to get slick. It's going to be an old school Darlington battle, and you might see way more Darlington stripes than you have in the past. And so it's a matter of just not being caught off guard by how slow the car is going to feel, but how you've still got to produce your lap time and to take care of the tires. So lots of unknown, especially with no practice going into this weekend.
Awesome. Thank you, Kurt. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Okay, our next question will come from Ashley McCubbin. Go ahead, Ashley.
Hey Kurt, thanks for your time today. It seems since the beginning of your career, you ran well at Darlington. What is it about that track that seems to suit your driving style?
Thank you. I feel like the track is a fun challenge that it's very different than all the other tracks, and running right up by the wall and carrying speed through 1 and 2. You've got to be right on that edge. You've got to push it through turn 2. And then turns 3 and 4, I think races are won with good exits off of turn 4. And that's where you start to catch that guy in front of you and then try to make the pass in turns 1 and 2. And so you just have to balance that out on where your car's good, where the other guy isn't. And then as the race changes, parts of the track aren't as usable, and yet you still got to get that good lap time. So Darlington's a place where it's like you're a cook in the kitchen and you got a lot of things going on all race long. But every year that I go back, it's like the pit crews are that much more important on how you win there.
And secondly, how did the whole idea of surprising your brother with the mariachi band come about?
That was my idea to surprise him for his birthday, because we were racing on May 2nd, his birthday on Sunday. And I was hopeful we'd be parked at the main airport where all the other crew guys had to walk through to get to all the team planes. And they would just be like, what is going on? Why is there a band in front of Kyle's plane playing? And it's more just to have fun for his birthday and make fun of him. And then we're at some different airport. We're the last plane there because he won. And I'm like, wow, we'll just party here in the FBO. And he was a good sport about it. We sat there for 3-4 songs and then jumped on the plane to get him back to Samantha and Brexton.
Thanks for your time today.
All right, we're going to squeeze in one final question. We're going to go to Claire B. Lane. Go ahead, Claire.
Thank you. I just want to say, I thought the mariachi band was awesome. I really enjoyed watching that. And you two brothers, your dad's dream is to have you two battle it out 1 and 2, right? How are you guys now? Are you able to bust each other's chops a little bit? You do such a sweet thing for him on his birthday.
Yeah, I feel like we've gone to another level of a relationship that challenges one another with race car information and keeping that to our specific teams, but to also talk about tracks in a much larger detail on bumps or trends. Last summer he hadn't won and he was, like, no, I'm a champion. I know these tracks. I know how to win. I'm like, Kyle, everything is different now with no practice. You've got to start to break the races down a little bit different. And so I was feeling like the older brother trying to throw some wisdom at him, even though he's the most winningest driver in NASCAR. I feel like, just like Tom Busch would say, it doesn't matter what you've done in the past. It's what's right now. And so I think our relationship also through this COVID process has gotten even closer because we're flying together and spending more time together. And that's worked well for a lot of people in COVID, and some it hasn't. But I'm very thankful that everything is working the way it is right now.
And I think that would be good for both of you, two great drivers sharing information, et cetera. That's really good to hear. Last thing about Darlington, you were talking about you expect more Darlington stripes in the field. Is that just because of no practice, or are there other reasons for that?
The reasoning is, yes, no practice. It's going to be warm, and it's the low downforce package. And that car, when you come off of a 1.5 miles like Kansas, where it has all that downforce, all that grip and the lack of horsepower. You go to a track that's fast like Darlington, take all of its downforce away and give it horsepower, it's going to catch a lot of people off guard.
Well, it'll be fun to cover. Everybody will be watching and listening. Thank you for your time and good luck. Okay. Good luck.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Kurt, thank you so much for joining us, spending a few extra minutes with us. And we wish you the best of luck this weekend in Darlington.
Great. Thank you.